Okay, so this lesson is on volume, and we're going to start with pyramids and cones. Okay, so just as a reminder, what is volume? So remember, volume is the amount of three-dimensional space an object occupies. In other words, usually like how many unit cubes can you fit inside a shape? So if we're looking at this, we'd say, all right, well, how many little unit cubes would fit in here in that pyramid? And same thing like here, how many unit cubes would fit in this cone? So that's really what we're talking about, the space inside. Okay, for pyramids and cones, our volume is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Remember, the base of a shape is not always the bottom. So you'll see here, right, for this rectangular pyramid, volume is 1/3 base times height, and then over here it says 1/3 pi r squared h. Now remember, this is just the area of the base because the base is a circle, area of a circle pi r squared. So same thing. So I just say, what is my area? I just say, all right, for pyramids and cones, it's just 1/3 base times height. Okay. So if I'm looking at this and I want to find the volume of this pyramid on the left, and then we'll do the one on the right, I really just need to start by finding the volume or the area of the base first, and then we can go into the volume. So this base is a rectangle, so we're just going to go 10 times 11, which is 110. Okay, so now I can find the volume is 1/3 times the base, which we just found, which is 110, times the height, and that's the height inside. And we do have that number, it's 16. Okay, so then you're just going to use your calculator to do that. And with these, you'll probably get some decimals just because you're multiplying by 1/3, probably pretty frequently. But if you do that, let's see, you got 586.67, and then cubic inches. Remember, volume is cubes, how many cubes fit in there, so our units should be cubic units. Okay, and that's my answer there. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's take a look at this one. Okay, so one thing I notice here is I don't have the height. I don't have this distance right down the middle. So I would need to find, okay, it's a little tricky with my pen, but you kind of get this should be, that distance there should be the height. Matter of fact, I'm going to just redo that. That looks terrible. Okay, so I want to say I've got a triangle, and I want to know that x right there. Well, I know that this is 7. I know the hypotenuse is 25. I need to know the height, which would be x. So I'm really looking at, right, something that looks like this. So I got to figure that out first. Well, let's do that. That would be 7 squared plus x squared equals 25 squared. This is 49. And this is 625. If I subtract 49 from both sides, that's going to give me 576. Take the square root of that. It's 24. Okay, so now I know the height is 24. Now I can apply the volume formula. I can say, all right, the base, let's do that, I guess, is 14 times 14, 196. So I say 1/3 times 196 times 24. And then we do some calculator work. And we get 1,568 cubic feet. And that is how you find the area of a pyramid. The volume of a pyramid. So the space inside. Okay. So how about cones? Okay, cones, again, we said before, are the same formula. You're doing volume is equal to 1/3 base times height. But remember, the base for a cone is a circle, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. So it's really 1/3 times pi r squared times the height. Okay, so for this first one, do I have everything I need here? Let's see. Let's do the base first. That is pi times 9 squared, which is 81 pi. Now I'm just going to type that number, 81 pi, in as my base when I do that. So I'm just going to say volume is equal to 1/3 times 81 pi, and then times the height, which I do know the height is 17. Okay, so go ahead and type that in, and I got 1441.99, 1,441.99, and then cubic yards. Okay. All right, let's do our last one here. This one, we've got a couple of things that we have to take into account. We don't know the height. We also don't have the radius given to us, although we can find that pretty easily. So the radius is half. Let's maybe do a different color here. Let's do blue. The radius is half of 27, so that's going to be 13.5. Okay. So, and then I need, this is 13.5. Okay, so we should do Pythagorean theorem. We got 13.5, I've got 22.5, and I got x. Okay, so I'm really saying 13.5 squared plus x squared equals 22.5 squared. So if I solve that for x squared, I end up with 324. And then if you take the square root of that, what's that? It's 18, right? Just make sure, yeah, 18. Okay, so my height in this cone is 18. All right, so now I think I have everything I need to go ahead and solve this. So let's see, volume, let's do base. Base is pi r squared. Okay. So volume. So this is 182.25 pi. And again, I'm just going to leave that pi in there till when I go down here. I'll type it in like that. And then the height, we said we found that to be 18. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a little calculator work. We got 3,435.33, and in this case we're dealing with kilometers, cubic kilometers. All right, so the volume of that cone is a little over 3,400 cubic kilometers, which is big. Okay. That is volume of pyramids and cones. I hope that makes sense. You can go ahead and try this assignment. Don't forget to write it in your planner. All right, see you later. Bye.